So namaste everyone, this is Anita from Indian American TV and also the founder and chief strategist of your mental wellness solution, Happiness Factors. Today I am very excited to announce that we are going to interview Mr Rangaswamy, the very well known multiple company founder. He has founded Sandhill Group, Eco Forum as well as Indiaspora. And I'm so excited for you guys to meet him and for him to share his wisdom with all of us at Indian American TV. So without much further ado, welcome Mr. Rangaswamy, and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to start so many diverse companies.
Well, Anita, thank you for having me, and I'm happy to be on Happiness Factors. So I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm ready to go. I hope you can feel the energy come through. But this is the first time when I saw your email invitation, I'm like, I got to be on this show.
Awesome.
You know, who would want to come to a sadness factor show, right? So
love it.
Thank you for having me, and wonderful job you're doing. But just, I won't be too long and on my own background, but my passion is to build networks. And so somehow I had this calling about 25 years ago when I'd left corporate life. I was trying to figure out what to do. You know, I had 4,000 business cards from my previous job. And this was before LinkedIn and before Facebook. I'm like, what do I do with these cards, you know? And someone gave me a bright idea. They said, why don't you have a party for these guys? I said, no one's going to come to a party. Then they said, maybe it's a conference. You know? So I said, oh, okay, conference is an excuse for a party. Let me do it. So that was my foray into building a network. And the first one I did was a network of CEOs of software companies, primarily in Silicon Valley, right? And I made that right from day one as a philanthropic event, meaning everybody paid registration fees, but all the profits, I didn't take a single penny, all the profits went to nonprofits. So that business model really worked. And even though we limit people to only 100 CEOs every year, we're sold out each and every year. So that was my first network that I started with the view of giving back, because the tech sector is often accused of making a lot of money and not sharing it, right? Not giving it back. So that was my first network. And then the second network started again by accident, where I have two young daughters. They were young at that time. They were 8 and 10. And people said, and I was thinking to myself, how do I be a good role model for my kids, right? And someone said, you know, these days people are looking at green and sustainability and eco-friendly. Why don't you do something there? So that was my second network that I created called the Eco Forum. And in this network, it involves the largest of companies. So members in this group are 75 of the world's largest companies: Apple, Amazon, Disney, UPS, Ford, you name it. Every major company is a member. And the goal here is to leave the world a better place. So lower your greenhouse gases and pollution, increase renewable energy purchases, build sustainable supply chains. So that's what my second network is. And then my latest one, it's about almost 10 years old, is Indiaspora. Because at that time I said, there's so many Indian organizations, as you know, Anita, there are dozens and dozens of Indian organizations, Gujarati Samaj, Tamil Sangam, you know, Thai, and this and that. But there's no organization that pulled the entire diaspora together, whether you're, you know, male, female, student, academic, artist, tech entrepreneur, bringing the whole community in together. And that was the genesis for Indiaspora. It's a leadership group to be a force for good, to do more philanthropy, to teach entrepreneurship and innovation to people, to get really involved in civic engagement and political engagement. So they're all very different. They all were started by accident, and they're all fun things for me. And that's why the real reason I'm happy is because all my networks make me happy.
Well, that's so amazing. I love to have accidents like that, right? Because, and also it's for the betterment of mankind. That's even better, like having a social impact. Even Happiness Factors was opened with a with the vision of making a social impact, because if unless people are mentally feeling well, they can't enjoy anything, right? Whether the career, the success, the money, the relationship, everything depends on how people feel inside, how good or bad they feel inside, pretty much. Yeah. So my question to you is, why did you decide to come to US? And after you came here, what are some of the interesting facts you would like to share with the audience? Because many of the members in Indian American TV who watch us are immigrants or would be immigrants.
Yeah. So my story has been documented in a couple of books.
Oh, nice.
One of the books is called The $8 Man. And there's a whole chapter on my coming to the US and stuff, but I'll condense it from the book. So I came here because my brother was living here, and I was in India studying law, and I didn't see a real future for myself in what I was doing. But again, going back to accidents, I first became an accountant. I didn't like that. Then I did law. I didn't like that. Then my brother goes, "Hey, why don't you come to the United States to do an MBA?" I'm like, "Cool, I'll do that." So the reason for coming here was my brother being in the United States, inviting me to come. But then the Indian government, as you know, at those days, only allowed or gave you $8 of foreign exchange, right?
Oh, I didn't know. What year was that?
This was 1976. India didn't have foreign money. And so any student coming to study would get $8. That's it. So you were given $8 and you had to leave the country. And that's why we were called the $8 men at that time. And there's a book about it, right? And so my journey began with coming to the US with $8 and then trying to go to school, pay for school, and so forth. So my reason to come was really, again, an accident. I wasn't too excited in India, and my brother goes, "Hey, come to America," right? And so I showed up, and life has treated me pretty well so far. Everybody here aspires to the American dream or whatever, and I guess all of us Indian Americans have created the Indian American dream, which is really to, be good citizens in this country, to give back, to be philanthropic, to do good. And that's kind of what I took away from my journey is this country, the United States, has done so much for me. For example, when I went to college, my sister-in-law had neatly packed a box of spices and pots and pans. And on the Greyhound bus that I took to Ohio, someone stole that box.
Oh, that's
right. So here I am, I get down, I have my suitcase with clothes, but nothing else to cook with, right? And so my local host family, immediately when he learned about it, they went to Kmart and they bought me everything I could. They couldn't buy me Indian spices, okay? But they got me at least all the rest of the stuff. And that showed the American warmth and hospitality when you're in need. People were so nice. And so throughout my life in the US, so many good things have happened where people have been helpful in this country, right? And that's what I value most as I navigated my getting a job, to coming to Silicon Valley, being in tech companies, to seeing the rise of Indian Americans, to doing what I do, No,
that's really amazing. And I totally agree with that, because even when I was going through the tough stuff of coming out of an abusive relationship, my American friends really helped me, and because of that I am all healed and open my own mental wellness startup, because that time you need people who are there for you, because you are not feeling that good enough, right? So it is really amazing. Yeah, many people come forward when you're really in need, and those become the best friends for life, pretty much. Right?
One thing I have to say about Silicon Valley, since immigrants would want to know about this kind of experience. When I came to Silicon Valley, there might have been a few thousand people. I came here in 1982, 40 years ago. Okay, there were orange groves, there were trees, there were gardens. Silicon Valley didn't have buildings, that many buildings, right? And there were very few Indians. I'm thinking maybe 10,000 Indians at best. And most of them were engineers, working in hardware companies. I was one of the first people in the software sector and so forth, right? But as time went on, all these Indians became entrepreneurs. So you saw the rise of entrepreneurship in our community, because they said, hey, I'm tired of working for a salary in a tech company. I'll go start my own company, right? And so that move happened in Silicon Valley. Then the next thing that happened was very fortuitous for Indians, was the Y2K problem. I don't know if many people remember, in the year 2000, all computers were supposed to stop, all planes would crash, all trains would break up, right? Because we changed to 2000. And so a lot of Indians came here to work to fix the software. So that was a big migration as well, right? And so when that happened, that started fueling more companies and so on and so forth. Then what happened next was the fact that many major mainstream companies, made CEOs of Satya Nadella, of Sundar Pichai, Shantanu Narayan. All these people became CEOs of company, gave us more of an advantage and more visibility and so forth, right? And then, people started getting into the venture capital industry. So we have a lot of Indian venture capitalists and so on and so forth, right? So in 40 years, I've seen the rise of our community from a few thousand immigrants to now, I believe the population in the Bay Area of Indians is over 300,000.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Just think, like 30 times the size or 40 times the size in 40 years. And that's been the dramatic growth of Indian immigrants coming to the Bay Area, coming to Silicon Valley, making their lives and livelihoods and, starting families and buying homes. And of course, in those days when I came, there was only one or two Indian restaurants, Now it's like you go anywhere and everywhere, there are Indian restaurants, temples, it's almost feels like a mini India for us.
Yes, like you can pick and choose which restaurant you want to eat at, right? What cuisine you want today.
Yeah. Do you want tandoori or do you want dosa? Choices, right?
That's true. Yeah. And many of the chains from India are also like Shravana Bhavan and Dosa Palace and all. They also open. Even Vishnu Ji Ki Rasoi, which is from Mumbai, they have a branch here too. Yeah. So if someone is trying to come right now, especially to the Bay Area, what advice would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, hope you're a coder. You got to learn, you got to know programming, right? And there's so many people, so many companies looking for programmers and developers. So I think you have to have the skills to come here. But the second thing is, of course, you have to navigate your way through the immigration process. Unfortunately, right now, it's a hit or miss. You may get an H-1B, you may not get an H-1B, or your backlog for a green card is long. Or if you're trying to get from a green card to a citizenship, it takes a long time. So, you have to just be prepared for the frustrations of the immigration process. And so really, come with expectations that things will take a little longer for you to get settled down and get your right visa and so forth. But on the other hand, companies want more staff. They want to hire more people. So it's, you've got you can choose your job in Silicon Valley and wages are going up. And so the good news is there are jobs. The challenge or bad news is, can you get your visa and so forth to actually, live in the Bay Area. And then the next thing is be prepared to pay high prices for everything. Gasoline is $5 a gallon. If you want to buy a one-bedroom apartment, is $1 million. It's all the craziness you have to deal with. But if you're young and you're coming as an immigrant, hey, there's no better place to be than the Bay Area and Silicon Valley.
And what cultural differences should they be prepared for?
Well, I mean, when we came, there was one theater which used to show Bollywood movies, and that was it. And they would come 6 months after, the movie was released in India, when all your relatives told you they've seen it 20 times, right? So now at least, we have more choices, more movie theaters, streaming videos. I mean, so I would say this is a fantastic time to be here, because you can get pretty much anything you want. Like I said, there are temples everywhere, gurdwaras. There's so many places of worship, the cultural events that happen all over the place. You can learn different languages if you have children. You can learn Hindi or Tamil or so many languages. So it's a beautiful place if you're willing to put up with the frustrations that we have, like any place. I think this is probably the best place for an immigrant.
Yeah. And yeah, like you mentioned, like for 26th January, we have a big festival going on in Fremont on 29th, because that's the weekend to celebrate the Republic Day for India.
Yeah, and we had Gandhi Jayanti
Yes.
here last year. We did a peace march across the Golden Gate Bridge. I live in
Oh,
San
nice.
Francisco, so it's wonderful to see hundreds of Indians go across the bridge on Gandhi's birthday. So we're making our mark here in the Bay Area.
That's true. Yeah, everyone thinks Indians are very intelligent and smart. Whoever I talk to, I said I'm the outlier.
I'll take a positive stereotype any day. We're
Yeah.
all IT people or doctors, and we're all smart. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And also nowadays they see like so many Indians have become CEOs of major companies. So you have to be really smart to be able to get that role, right?
Absolutely. At Indiaspora, we publish a lot of lists. And one of the lists are CEOs in the Fortune 500. And there are more than 60 CEOs of Indian origin on the list. And you can get these all on our website. I mean, and it builds on itself. The more CEOs you have, more that get hired, right? Same thing in politics, for example. We have now so many people in politics, so many people in the Biden administration.
Yes.
Biden administration, there are more than 80 Indians, 80.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Huge.
Yeah,
Go to
even in Trump
Indiaspora.
administration, there were a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, 80 Indians and more to come. So you look at every sphere, we're 7% of the doctors in this country, even though we're only 1% of the population. So I think we're doing well. The area we need to do more is what Indiaspora focuses on is philanthropy. We need to give back to our communities here where we made our money. We may also choose to give to India. So that's why we have started a program at Indiaspora called Chalo Give.
Oh, nice.
Because we want to get people, especially the new immigrants and young people, to get into this culture of donating money to good causes. And you can do it online, one click, you have your money done. And during COVID, Indiaspora helped raise over $10 million of funds, both for the US as well as to send to India. So I think, our community now needs to do more of that so that we are known as givers and not takers. Because a lot of times, people look at immigrants and go, they take.
Yeah.
Immigrants are people who give.
Yes,
right?
like Seva also did a great job of.
Seva did a fantastic job, right? Of helping people both here and in India. Same thing with us. We gave money to food banks in the US. We gave money to COVID relief in India. You got to do that. And so really the philosophy is be givers, not takers.
Yes. And right now, I think Indians have some good impression as givers, because also I think during the holiday season also, they did a lot of food donation as well as for the toys for kids and blankets for the homeless and all that. And Seva also did a great job right now in the Colorado fires.
Yes,
there
absolutely.
So many people,
and we need to be known, like the Jewish community is known as givers. They write checks to causes, they do things. And we can learn a lot in terms of having that kind of culture, DNA built in, where our kids and everybody, they start by saying, what do we give? Not what do we get?
No, that's very, very important, because then only you can have a more fulfilled life, right? Yeah. And what's your favorite memory from India as well as from here so far?
In India, I mean, the good days there, is with all kinds of friends going and playing cricket or going to a cricket match, drinking the Indian drinks like Gold Spot. Those are all things that make you nostalgic for India, or the restaurants you used to go to with your friends. And Diwali was a big thing you always looked forward to with anticipation as a child. So there are a lot of great memories of India. And so coming here, it's not going to be the same. It's a different life. And so, we have to adapt to the American way of life, but hopefully we can also bring the good things from our culture, to the equation.
That's true. Like especially, I think yoga and meditation are nowadays becoming very, very mainstream here, especially after COVID. Like everyone knows the importance of mental wellness, and some of the easiest things to do is meditation and yoga. other apart from
Absolutely,
the other
absolutely.
mantras
My
and stuff.
daughter during COVID learned
Hmm.
how to become a yoga instructor,
Oh,
and
awesome.
you can see the dramatic change in how she feels now
Uh-huh.
versus before, because especially the young generation was so impacted by COVID.
Yes.
Kids going to school or college
Yeah,
had to do it by Zoom, and that is not a good thing. And
that's
and
true.
so they needed a lot of support, and absolutely, I can vouch that something like yoga can change your attitude, change your mental being
Yeah.
so rapidly.
Yes, and stress can't stay long if you do meditation and yoga very, very regularly as a way of life. That even for me, I would say like when I came new here, I totally gave that up, became more westernized. But after life happened, I went back to the roots, and that's helped me so much. Like, and
And
not just,
and, and
yeah,
it's so good that Prime Minister Modi in India has made June 21st World Yoga Day.
yes,
Like here in the city in San Francisco, on that day you'll see all these people sitting, in front of the Golden Gate Bridge or something, doing
uh-huh.
yoga and
Oh,
and
that's
really
nice.
propagating that throughout the world. This is our gift,
Yes,
India's
to
gift to
the
the
world.
world.
Yes. And also, mantra meditation has helped so many people get rid of depression, get rid of so many mental ailments. And people vouch for it, right from Beatles to right now Ray Dalio, who is one of the most famous, I would say, investors in the US.
Yeah.
He says that mantra meditation totally changed his life, and now he doesn't feel that stressed anymore. So
And
that's
I think
really
we need
amazing.
to inculcate more Ayurveda in our
Yes.
medical system. You
Oh,
know,
that's important. Yeah. I totally agree with you with that. Actually, some people were doing some studies. I don't know what happened to that. But right now, good thing is even some of my competitors like Headspace, they have made yoga as a source for even like curing mental wellness. So some of the companies like Blue Shield offer it as a tool for
yeah.
their subscribers. So that's really amazing. And actually, last week I was talking to Sadhvi Bhagwati Saraswati, and the reason I mention her because she is from here.
Uh-huh.
She grew up in Hollywood, and she went to India to visit 25 years ago and never came back. She found it so amazing, and now she has become a sadhvi, and she has a PhD from Stanford in psychology. So it was very
Fantastic.
interesting to know like how she was saying she had everything here, but it didn't bring her as much peace as when she's there, when she doesn't own anything because she's a monk, right? And also she says even the lows there are better than the highs here. So that was really amazing. So what are some of the challenges you would say like any new immigrant faces when they move across country, because it's a very big move, especially with people with kids and a family, right? So because everything is changed, so what would
Yeah, I
they
would
like to
say
prepare for?
the big things are just the cultural shift
Uh-huh.
that anyone has to go through. It's going to be so different.
Mm-hmm.
When I came from India, I remember going from Chennai,
Mm-hmm.
which is 100-degree weather, to Ohio, where we had the coldest winter.
Oh yeah,
It was minus 20
quite a
degrees,
change. Yeah.
right? It's just that sheer
Uh-huh.
change in weather and snow and
Yes.
all these kind of things, right? So each, depending on where you go in the U.S., obviously you're going to see different kind of cultural shifts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think California, in a sense, is so open to
Yeah.
immigrants and so open to everyone. I think there's less of a stress here. I think the challenges you'll find in California and stuff
Mm-hmm.
is transportation is a challenge. If
Yeah.
you're an immigrant, you don't know how to drive. How do you get from place to place? You'll still face some of those issues, whereas in India you didn't have those kinds of
Mm-hmm.
issues. So I think you're going to have to, kind of adapt to whatever environment you're in.
Yeah.
And I think California is probably the most hospitable of all the states you could think of going to in the US. So, I can't add too much more to this,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah.
No, I do totally agree because we have a very diverse population, especially in the Bay Area, right? People from lots of different countries and continents, right? From India to China to Russia. Like I meet new people to Europe, like every other person you meet is an immigrant, first generation. Yeah, so it's much easier here, right? That way to gel in and blend in and just be open to, I would say, like the cultural differences, like you said, to be open to embrace the differences and make the best of it, right? Because sky is the limit if people work hard and they want to get wherever they want to go, right?
Yeah.
And so what are you most excited about?
Yeah, I would say being in the tech industry in the Bay Area, I think technology that's going to come out in the next 20,
Yes.
30 years
Uh-huh.
is going to be so much better, so much more exciting, so different and innovative. I can't wait for some of these technologies to come out, whether it's driverless cars,
Uh-huh.
whether it's hydrogen fueled planes
Uh-huh.
or smart homes. There's so much, and in healthcare, so many breakthroughs in healthcare with medicine, with surgery, with every facet of healthcare. There's going to be so many changes for the better. So I think in every sphere, I see so much advancement, and most of it is emanating from the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
You look at all the startup companies, the innovative companies, most of them are still based in the Bay Area, even though people say everybody's leaving to go to Texas.
Yes.
I
Like
really don't
Tesla.
see that
Yeah.
I see that more as a media
Uh-huh.
story than reality in some sense. I don't think most people have still stayed put. But there's so much advancement in every area of technology. Okay. All the way from your phones and computers to healthcare to, like I said, every part of your life. I think, the previous generation, let's say, lived for 75 or 80 years. The next generation could live for 100 years.
Yes.
So I think you'll see that big advancement. The challenges, of course, are keeping costs in control. I think healthcare costs have gone out of control in this country.
Yes.
College tuition has gone out of control in this country. So I think we've got to fix some of those kinds of challenges. But in terms of the advancements, I think you're going to see so much more in the next 10 years that you can look back and you won't believe all these changes have happened. So it's a pretty exciting time, I think, to be an immigrant, to be in California, to actually be firsthand to see all these things happen.
Yes, no, that's totally true.
And being an angel investor, I talk to 2 entrepreneurs every week.
Wow,
and
amazing.
That keeps me so excited to see the new business plans and PowerPoint presentations on how each one of these companies is going to change the world, right?
Yes.
And that's no let up in entrepreneurship and wanting to do the right thing to build the next company, the next Google, the next Apple. It's that drive and hunger is still there with entrepreneurs.
Yes, that's totally true. Actually, I think the companies which have moved out are mostly bigger companies like Tesla, Apple. They have lots of Oracle. So those are the companies which have moved out, maybe more for tax than anything else.
Yeah, I don't think the employees are moving. Maybe they moved their headquarters, but Tesla still has their plant here. Oracle still has their campus in Redwood Shores. I mean, that's not going away anywhere. I think, I think for tax reasons, I think it's for maybe some people allowing them to move, but I don't think most people are going to move. I mean, you have your family here, you have your friends, your infrastructure. I think most people are going to stay in any state. They're all going to stay where they live.
Yes. I mean, because you have built your own support system and network and everything. Yeah. I think most people who are moving out are moving out because of whatever personal reasons they might have. And also some people don't like I would say don't like all the lockdowns in California compared to Arizona and Florida and Texas are pretty open right now. So.
But it's good, in one sense, Anita, because it's like a pressure cooker,
Yes.
You want to let off some of the steam. Otherwise, the whole thing is going to blow up, right? So it's good to have a little bit of that so that, home prices maybe can come down a bit. Traffic
be more
can be
reasonable.
a little less, I think it's some of the good things can happen when some people leave, So maybe that's the good side of things is you can buy that 1-bedroom house for 999,000 instead of 1 million.
Yeah. I mean, here I think it has inflated a lot. So maybe if many companies move out, then it will then again come back to the normal price, like which it should be. Like 5 years ago, the same four-bedroom house was like 600K, and right now it's like 1.2 million or something, or something. At least
I don't hold your breath, because I
Yeah.
just looked at the list of 30 companies that are planning to go public this year, and 15 of them are in the Bay Area.
Wow. So more people will come. Yeah. Traffic
Yeah, I
hasn't
think
lessened.
so.
That's for true. Sure. Like traffic is still the same traffic in spite of so many people. 1% they said have moved out, but still traffic hasn't lessened at all,
Right,
especially in
right.
101. So what are some like closing remarks you have about the immigrants, as well as about the Indians trying to migrate, whether it's here or to any other country? Like as immigrants, what are some of the things people should consider before deciding, okay, I want to migrate here or I want to migrate there?
Yeah, I think one of the things that has happened is the US has certainly, in the past few years, made it more difficult for immigrants to come, legal immigrants to
Yes.
come, you know? And so, on the other hand, if you're thinking of immigrating from India, you also got to give a shot to Canada, for
Yes.
example. Canada's immigration system is much more lenient, much more forgiving, much
Yes.
more welcoming in some sense. So, take a look at not just the US, because you could be living in Vancouver and you could still be commuting
Yes.
back and forth to the United States if you so choose, but you could actually have legal residency in Canada, which again has millions of Indians, Canadians, in that country as well. So it's not a bad thing to look at your choices. I think Australia was another country that was more, looking for more immigrants to come, and so forth. So now you have also choices, and so U.S. is not the only place that you have to go to. You can choose many other places now. So take a look. Be broad-minded, because Canada, you could get immigration much faster. You could still be in the tech industry. It's a beautiful country. Okay, you have to wear, very warm clothes, but other than that, it's a great country. So I think, give it a look. If you're a new immigrant, or you're having a hard time getting immigration in the U.S., that may not be a bad choice.
Yeah, so thank you, M.R. Rangaswamy ji. Very nice talking with you. And thank you, viewers. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Indian American TV or Happiness Factors, or you can connect with us on LinkedIn as well. And with this, I'd like to end this session. Till next time, keep smiling and namaste.
Thank you, and have a happy day.